What I'm observing is people are not getting enough time to ask questions, right, because of the paucity of time. So maybe let us try together. If we can have more time to ask questions and maybe have some response, right? Will that be okay from audience perspective? Because I don't want it to be a monologue that we are just sending whatever we are supposed to send, and then I'm not sure if it is well received. Okay, will that be okay, everyone? To have a Q&A sort of model, right? So I had made this slide yesterday, and thanks to AI, I mean, it has helped me make it quicker. But I also observed a second observation this morning is that more or less almost everyone is talking about similar sort of thing, right? So there's nothing novelty probably we all could bring other than maybe really getting to some of the core. And one thing that stood out for me as a topic which was not so much covered was, if you have observed, all of us are talking about science, right? Very deep in science, right? And most of us are also talking about the basic research, right? How do we do discovery, the biology research, the chemistry, computational biology. I think one part is missing. I think some of us asked this question in the morning, that how many of it is actually going to clinics, right? And I think somehow, in my humble opinion, this is also answer to many questions that we are trying to solve here, right? That if India has to become an innovator, we have to stop maybe only limiting our thought process into basic research. And I think all the senior folks are here. You can, DCGI representation. We have to think about how do we actually convert this basic research into a proper translational research, and at some point of time into clinical research, that we all can take proud that there are 4 or 5 medicines which are really transforming the world in terms of how we take care of the diseases from India. In my view, that will be the point when we can call that now we have arrived in terms of innovation. Otherwise, it's always around productivity, cost efficiencies, reducing the cycle time, providing services to the global pharma companies, doing reverse engineering, doing some of the work that probably people are willing to outsource, right? Because they don't see it a value add. And I particularly liked one topic since morning was Shanta Biotech's founder, Dr. Vara, right? He was also highlighting a lot about native intelligence, right? That we all have, right? So, but I will do a little bit of maybe quick scrolling, right? That what crisis we are all facing today, right? Imagine all the doctors in the world, everybody, all the scientists in the world, still close to 97% of the rare diseases still don't have any answer. FDA, MHRA, DCGI, we all are working day and night still. Still the cost is same, timeline is same, failure rate is same, and you can imagine, like we are around 1.5, 1.6 billion people now, between that, close to 1.34 in China, sub-Saharan African also close to 1.34. So more than 5 billion people still never get the innovative medicine by choice first time. Now this is the crisis situation, right? I'm not a big evangelist, rather a very pessimistic person for AI, but people are saying that there's a lot of hope. And especially they are saying that this is an inflection point, right? I will really quickly skip through some of the slides because I really want to keep some time for proper dialogue. We heard a lot of people talking about multi-omics revolution, right? Again, basic research. A lot of people talked about, I know Deba has left, but Professor Deba from IIIT talked about foundational maturity. I think people are also talking about the time when the computation power is maybe at the peak, I don't know, still to figure out, but also very important point, the trust is there. Today at least you can imagine you have government, industry, academia, also the hospitals, you see participation coming. So somehow the trust is coming together, right? Little bit ecosystem is also converging. But apart from it, right, a lot of people are trying some kind of pillars, like some kind of fundamentals that is helping move the needle in terms of AI, how it is going to help, right? Again, these are four that I believe are very, very important, right? We talked about it. I will not go in detail, but data is very, very important. A lot of people talked about it. Science, I think it was Professor Riaj, right, who said science first, then AI. I think that will always remain, right? I know some of the audiences, you all are doctors, scientists. You will always be the core because research is driven by the human native mind rather than AI together. But yes, technology is helping us out, right? And the trust. So do you think this is all happening in silos or across the value chain, right? Because Dr. Chin asked me to give a perspective from my experience, how I see it personally working in multinational companies, how I see it happening. Honestly, it's kind of midway. I don't see it very, very, that let's celebrate AI has arrived. At the same time, I don't see that people are not trying, right? So, of course, in drug discovery, you have heard since morning, so I will not repeat a lot about it, but target identification, designing, and screening. And I don't know, people have talked about it, but in silico medicine is really leading. Very soon, probably phase 2, you'll see what they deliver for IPF, the fibrosis product that they are talking about. For sure, in the preclinical also, I think people talked about it. Even I think gentleman before me, he was also talking about a lot of applicability of computation. I call it all computation, right? AI, machine learning, tomorrow quantum. I think everything is helping us to think faster and maybe think more accurate, right? Without a lot of human intervention. So a lot of predictions are going on. Like in my view, these four stands out, right? But more or less, since I spent a lot of time in clinical trials, almost 2 decades in industry, here's an opportunity to change the economics, right, in terms of AI. And I know a lot of people from Novartis, my ex-colleagues. There's a great area. I mean, we are talking about, how we can kind of reduce. I don't know how many of us are able to work on a protocol design which is truly AI-based, patient recruitment, site selection, digital twin patients. I have not seen much yet, but I think people are talking a lot about it. But then, yes, of course, there are some examples from industry. You see AstraZeneca, Novartis, Pfizer. I think a lot going on in clinical trial space as well. Now, so this is already covering around your discovery, your preclinical, the clinical, but the buck is not stopping here itself, right? I mean, the regulatory affairs is something where a lot of things are coming up, a lot of things are started. I think Shilpi in the morning talked about FDA's guidance, and they have actually invited a lot of views from industry and also other regulators throughout the world, how AI can be used. But then, yeah, I mean, these are certain examples from AI in the regulatory space. I think one thing I can mention with a lot of confidence, seeing industry across the globe is that everything is not a hypothesis anymore. I mean, this is not anymore in the papers only. A lot of things have started to come out very well in market, right? So these are some great examples. Like we all have seen BioNTech. AstraZeneca is also working pretty high, good 4 or 5 programs. And in silico, I think everybody knows about it, right? Reducing timeline from 4.5 year to average really 18 months is a big kind of step, right, if you say so. But you know what, when I was asking this question before, I'm hoping similar examples coming out of India. Then I say that we are moving needle, right? Why this has to be in Hong Kong-based company? Why not Hyderabad, right? Both starts from H, right? But again, I mean, the potential is pretty huge. 70%, you rightly said, it's across. Like people are saying, it has potential to go even more. This market is going to boom. And I think that's where Dr. Vara was saying that, is it really a noise? But it is, even this noise is creating 1.5 trillion worth of AI value. So whether we like it or not, this is creating a lot of value. And I was talking to some doctors while having lunch today, that how are they seeing it? Of course, scratching the surface, but you can imagine everything is kind of coming together to create this big market, right? In last few years, FDA is also approving things which are AI assisted. And I think in the morning, Shilpi also talked about AI driven and AI assisted a lot, so skip that. Yeah, but overall, I can say that I worked in Lilly, I worked in J&J, I worked in Novartis for a pretty long time. I think most of the pharma companies are, I don't know, it's a FOMO, fear of missing out, but I think everybody's trying out a lot in AI, right? But in my view, I thought, I will also share some challenges what we have, right? I mean, these 6, just to highlight, I think people have talked about it. Talent gap, I will definitely say. I will just talk about talent gap a little bit here. See, India produces almost 500,000 data scientists. It has a pool of 500,000 data scientists. But I'm still to find a newspaper report one day that something like DeepMind has happened from Hyderabad or Bangalore. All right, let's see how it can happen. Somebody talked about investment, also how much we do in R&D, us versus others. But yeah, that's are our talent, and I think professors out here, are our talent really looking into the end product in mind? Are we researching but just by the sake of researching, or really something product innovation is we are looking at? I was talking to Professor Devajit, right? That 2 decades of investment, what is outcome in terms of product innovation? I think the answer is very clear, that a lot of focus is on the service and process. I would like to just, because I'm a clinician at the end of the day, right? I mean, just imagine with every failed attempt, there's a patient waiting. And somebody also asked me that, hey, what's your view about next decade? We like it or not, but I see in 2027, you'll see in your organizations, hospitals, everywhere, a lot of co-pilots will happen, a lot of efforts will start to happen. By 2030, I think this clinical trials, 60-70% people are already putting every clinical trial into AI, especially big pharmas. So I'm hoping that a lot will come there. By 2033, I mean, digital twins that we all are just talking today will go to mainstream, right? This is my hunch. And also, we are hoping that by 2035, properly first AI designed medicines will come out, right? I'm not an astrologer. I'm not forecasting here, but I mean, this is what AI and me, right, we together kind of build this story for us, so that you can catch hold of me in 2035 if you don't see that medicine. But what does it mean for us, right? I mean, these are 6 takeaways I believe that we all should have. I think all of you are already doing it, so I don't need to preach anything which everybody knows. But I think the core is bringing AI not as a mainstream or a side stream, but like a coexisting, right? This is very, very important. I think regulators need to also play a bigger role here, right? I think because industry is looking towards you, right? I mean, look at this. If FDA take 1 step, industry take 5, right? And then clinician takes 10. So a lot of kind of responsibility on that side. And then I think just skip it. I mean, we know that accelerate and foundation, these 2 are very important things. The vision, for sure, is a world where no patient waits a decade for medicine that could save their life. I believe when I joined industry in 2007, right, and I know some of the friends are sitting here who joined with me. From then until today, the vision is not changing. We are not moving the needle much there, right? So can we do that together? And with this, thank you so much. I still hope that we can have some question answer either. Thank you. Sir.
Questions? Or any questions from audience? Yes, lot of questions. Give me.
Yeah, since you worked in Novartis and all these big pharma companies, right? So now we are talking about agents, and the free lunch model is over. We see the costs coming, models under country regulations, right, not being exported. So how do you see the embrace towards open source models, fine-tuning them or post-training them for our requirements? And we don't need huge models for every task also, right? There is a need for agent-specific, domain-specific, small language models as well. So how do you say? I know Lilly has Lilly Tune Lab. I follow Lilly News a lot. But apart from that, generally, like, do you see across the industries, are we embracing towards this? Are we still an API-driven a packaging product, or are we also working in terms of embracing the open source models and fine-tuning or post-training them and having an inference engines, right? The inference happening in the company, not outsourcing to an API. So do you see that kind of direction coming in, or at least is there a need for such kind of thing?
So 20%, 80-20, 80% is still where company wants to really have our internal foundations being built. But now I see recently also taking example from Lilly, for example, open source fundamental model. On top of it, people are building a lot of plug-in solutions, the interferences and other models that agents, right? And I think you brought another good point about the cost. I think at some point of time, everybody in industry will start asking this question. They already started. That shall we have LLM for everything? Like, does every question need to be answered by ChatGPT or an agent, right? We have to see what is the cost coming out of it, right? So I see 80-20. 80% is still very, very conservative, 20% being exploratory. One of the trend, if you read news, all the big pharmas are having big tie-ups, right? For example, Eli Lilly had with NVIDIA. Recently, Novartis has with Anthropic, and so on and so forth, right? So they want to ensure that there's a strong foundation at the bottom of everything that is experimented in the company. Yeah. Yes. Right.
We know that big data means the real world data is full of junk.
Right.
And that's a problem for the machines to learn. If
Right.
they learn from junk, they will output junk.
Right. Right.
So going forward, how we can correct that, or any correction or something can be done in that? I have no answer, but for experts and anyone has enough.
So the answer is no, right? Actually, so that's why it is called real world, right? Real world means like there's no control. So I don't think that any one company would ever have control on the entire open open data being created, right? Even in this room, there's a lot of data being created as we are speaking, right? Nobody has control to it. But I think what would happen and what has started happening, Dr. Anup, already is that people are starting to be more and more smarter that how to use that open source data, right? For example, talking about Lilly Direct, right? I mean, this is the first attempt by any pharma company to bring really good, I mean, not saying the bypassing SCPs and all, but I think creating more awareness going to the people, right? I think more and more trend we all will see where more real insights will start to coming in, and that will help us shaping our strategies, commercial strategy, for example, to reach out. But yeah, I don't see any control on the open data generation, big data, and I think there will be more and more filtering, more and more scrutiny around how do we use that. Yeah.
Hi Vivek,
Hi.
great to see you after a long time.
Thank
So
you. Same
Vivek,
here.
I think I don't have a question per se, but a comment and a observation from what I was listening throughout the day. I foresee that there are a lot of discussions about the opportunities area of what AI can bring in fast tracking drug development. One thing what we are also missing is that how AI can help us bring safer medicines. When I mean to say safer medicine, drugs which are having a very good safety profile, because at the end of the day, benefit risk profile of a drug is important.
Yes.
And I could envision, one more point which you have already mentioned in your slide, maybe not by 2035, I am also not an astrologer, maybe very sooner or later, the need of hour is to also how AI can predict safety and bring more safer medicines.
Right. No, I think it's a good point, and I think it will be taken care as long as our Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 21, and in DCGI, like DNC Act, will take care of it, right? See, think about it. Even today, who can ensure the safety of a medicine? Somebody who is collecting the data, the evidence generation team, people like you all who are working in Novartis kind of companies, and then regulators, people sitting here, and maybe you both are doing your job honestly. The society trusts on us, right? Eventually, these questions will also be for technology-driven output, right? So that's the answer to the first question. I think is something happening in the safety prediction and all. For sure, yes. Like in silico, so when they did for IPF trial, right? First they went with phase 1 trial, they established safety. Just the like we will go, right? The first in human and all. How much we can trust? I think somebody also talked about in the morning. I think Dr. Pawar, somebody, that human in loop is very, very important for us. Even I was talking to some robotic surgeons in your hospital today while at lunch. And I asked this question, how much workflow of a doctor is being done by robots today? Answer is very, very minimal, right? Because you can't expect a robot to do the PTCA, for example, right? Transplant. So it is all doctor-driven, doctor decision, surgeon-driven, surgeon decision, but then enabled by machines. So I think that will remain the case. And I'm very hopeful that senior leaders will take care of that part very, very well.
So with this, we will close. Madam,
Thank you so much,
you
sir.
went till 2035. Government is thinking till 2047. You see everyday visions
Right.
at several places. They are speaking about 2047.
Right.
At that time, I will be retired, sir.
Yeah. And I hope that by 2047, at least, we should try, collectively, we should try to have one truly innovative medicines coming out of India. With that, I would like to leave it to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was